Hello, Chirag. I hope you have received the question bank.
Hello. Hello, Neeraj. Uh,
Yes, sir.
uh, okay, so yesterday we covered
CAPP, that is Computer Aided Process Planning, and ERP. So now today we'll be completing the syllabus of PET. And then, in case if you need any further lectures, then only I'll take. Otherwise, the syllabus will be completed today itself. And there are six assignments. The last assignment is CAM design for drop, and you can take any component which I have shared. There are almost 10 components. All components are university, but it should not be uh, very simple. It should have at least five tools. Minimum five tools should be there, because out of five tools, two tools तो one vertical slide में ही जाते हैं. That is front vertical slide and rear vertical slides. So you should at least use five tools, and that's how you have to select the components. There are small topics which are very very important from your short note point of view, like what is the use of process sheet. So process sheet, that is nothing but operation sheet. Mm, that is what you have done it in the design. So it can be used for scheduling, that is you know what is the setup time, what is the processing. Then process sheet also explains the material movement. Mm. So it is useful for your cost reduction. You can control the cost. Mm. Then you can estimate costing. Mm. Then it also explains the method of working. It also gives total number of people required. And finally, it is useful for calculating the efficiency. Yeah, am I audible? Hello, Chirag, Neeraj, am I audible? No.
Yes, sir.
Now another useful, uh, note, that is whatever I am discussing today, that is important from your short note point of view. In the university exam, that is question number two. So either it will be asked short note on general purpose machine, or short note on special purpose machine, or it can be a difference also. So if you just study the difference, then you will be able to answer both. So like GPM is the full form for general purpose machine, SPM is the full form for special purpose machine. So here you have SPMs, you have high initial investment, and GPMs, uh, you have less initial investment. Then special purpose machines are meant for certain component. Certain component means like machining of the cams. So that machine which is designed for machining of the cams. So it will do only the cam machine. Like what the cams what you have studied in theory of machines, or the cams which we studied for the drop. So the machines which are designed for machining cam, so that will be only doing the cam machining. Or sometimes you have machines for crankshaft machining or crankshaft grinding. So that machines are useful only for crankshaft machining or crankshaft grinding. So special purpose machines are meant for a particular component or for a particular operation. Mm. So GPMs, they have greater machine flexibility, like say lathe machine. So lathe machine comes under the category of general purpose machine. So it can do any operation. It can do even milling, it can do drilling, it can do slotting, it can do grinding with the help of the attachment. Mm. Then SPM depends on large volume. So whenever the volume is more, 1 lakh pieces, 10 lakh pieces, mass production. So that time you go for SPM, which is not so in GPM. GPM may, even if the quantity is one, uh, it is useful. Since SPMs are dedicated machines, so the linkages, mechanisms which are designed, or the circuits which are designed for a specific purpose, so the people should be trained in maintaining those mechanisms or circuits. Whereas in GPMs, the standard circuits, the standard mechanisms, or the standard parts are used. So the maintenance cost is less, and even the average person also can maintain the machines. Whereas in SPM, you need trained peoples in that particular uh, machine. Hmm. So obviously, once the machine is down, the debugging time, that is, so rectification time, is more. And then once the maintenance is done, then again you need to set the machine for that particular component. So setup time is also more. Hmm. Whereas here in general purpose machine, the setup time is less, and debugging time, that is maintenance time, is also less. Debugging time is also called as your fault finding time. Then special purpose machine, there is a danger of obsolescence. Obsolescence means becoming outdated, because as the product changes, then your SPM, the machine which was designed, uh, that becomes outdated. For example, like suppose you have designed and manufactured a special purpose machine for keyway milling. Keyway milling of size, say Woodruff key milling. That is, you have say millions, 1 lakh pieces or 10 lakh pieces, in which you have to cut Woodruff key. So SPM for that is which will be doing that 1 lakh or 10 lakh pieces of QA milling. Now, moment the size changes, or the shape or the radius changes, then you have to design another machine, or suppose instead of owner of key, suppose if you go for a taper key, you change the design, uh, and if you go for another type of key, then that machine again becomes obsolete, and the product keeps on changing, the model keeps on changing, so there is a danger of obsolescence, because this is market is very dynamic, and because of the competition there is every chance then that it will get obsolete or it will become obsolete very fast. Whereas GPM it is not so, because GPM can do variety of jobs. So there is a flexibility as it can do many jobs. So in SPMs, as it is dedicated for one particular operations, the skill operators are not required. Mostly the work of the operator is only to do loading and unloading of the components. Many times even loading and unloading is also automatic, so your machine becomes fully automated. Hmm. So the operator skill is not required. Many times, it is unmanned, and the machine shop, hmm, having say 10 SPMs, like say Mahindra engine shops, so they have a transfer line having say 10 machines. So on one machine only the drilling will happen, another machine only chamfering of all the holes all together. Then next machine only the tapping will happen. So like that it is. So here in general purpose machine, the operator skill is required. So he should have knowledge of drilling, he should have knowledge of tapping, then milling, then shaping. So a multi-skilled operator or more skilled operator is required. Because he should be able to set the machine, he should able to grind the machine, he should be able to do the threading, isn't it? Because it is not automatic. It is it depends on the person. Mm. Since on SPMs, the same components is being produced, so ins- there will be a consistency in the quality or consistency in the tolerances. That's what you get. Mm. So the inspection cost is less in uh, SPM. So you need to inspect maybe around 10% or 15% of the component. Whereas in case of GPM, the inspection cost is high because most of the times the batch quantity is less, and batch quantity is less, and sometimes even the components are single, that is quantity is one. So you need to do 100% inspection. So inspection cost is high. In SPM, you can go get good quality, but the problem is that you have only one component, one type of component. All right. So in GPM, the product quality can be not necessarily that it should be less, but it can be less. So obviously, in case of SKM, the output is more, whereas in case of GPM, the output will be less. There are some more examples. Um, so from short note point of view, also you can write this and you can elaborate. So manpower required is more in case of GPM. Uh, Here manpower required is less, and one operator can control 10 SPMs. So inventory is less in case of SPMs, whereas in case of GPM it is more. Mm, and the product flow is not uniform in GPM, whereas it is uniform in case of SPMs. And then finally, you can give the example, like in case of GPM, you can give example of say lathe machine. It's general purpose machine. Milling machine, it's a general purpose machine. In case of SPM, you can say cam milling machine, you can say crankshaft grinding machine, you can say keyway milling machine. So these are all SPMs or any other you can write. Then there is a clear cut difference between process sheet and process picture. Process sheet and process picture. So should not be confused. So process sheet is process sheet is nothing but what you have made recently. That is your operation sheet, and process picture is nothing but the pictorial representation or the graphical representation. That is on a particular machine. What component you are going to make, what operation you are going to do, and you have to highlight those operations with some color ink or color pencil so that it is visible. In process picture you have to also show location, clamping, etc. So process picture gives a pictorial representation about the process, that is about the turning, etc. Process sheet, it gives the detailed information. It is like a postmortem. Hmm? You are doing, you are writing each and every process. Then process sheet may, you know, it gives speed feed of all the processes, whereas here it does not. Process picture may. Hmm? Process sheet gives you machining time. You know now all this. Process picture does not give the machining time. Hmm? Then process sheet, it also indicates the location, clamping and holding, and also area of processing. Hmm? Here it shows pictorially. Here process sheet may theoretically, that is you are writing that hold on this, locate on this, clamp and this. In process picture you have to actually draw the picture and you have to show symbolically where it is being located, clamped, etc., etc. Then process sheet gives you what are the toolings and gauges which are used. Here it does not give such information, toolings, etc. Then if it is asked for 5 marks, then you have to give minimum 5 correct points, both the sides. Even if one point is wrong, then you lose the entire mark. One, suppose if this is wrong and this is correct, you do not get half mark, you lose the mark. Both the points has to be correct. So process sheet also gives the information about the method or process which is being used for machining of, entire product. Uh, Whereas in process picture, what is going on that particular machine, only that much is reflected. So first is process sheet and then is process picture. So process pictures uh, are drawn later, or you can say process picture is a subset of process sheet. Then another, that is short note point of view, they can ask, transfer line machining. Hmm. They will not ask, machining center, but transfer line machining. Difference can be asked machining center and transfer line machining. So again, transfer line machining here, there are, transfer line machining is engine machining. So engine may, there will be 5 phases. Altogether, there will be 6 phases, but the bottom phase on which the engine is resting, it cannot be machined. See, there are any prismatic components or cuboidal component will have 6 phases. So since the phase, that is bottom phase or any phase on which it is resting cannot be machined, you have 5 exposed phases. So generally what happens in transformer machining, whatever operations are there on these 5 phases will be done automatically. Like first is on the top phase. So top phase say milling, top phase machining, then drilling, tapping, or boring, whatever is there on the top phase. Then it will go to the, like on the first station, face milling. On the second station, say drilling, number of holes. Then third station, tapping. Then fourth station, boring. reaming. Then next station, the job will be indexed through 90 degrees, so that you will have uh, face, uh, vertical face. Then you complete all the operation on that vertical face. Okay, then it goes to the next station. Again, you rotate. Okay, so you complete all the operations. So like that, transfer line machining means all the operations for a particular product except one phase can be done. So basically it is for the mass production and it is for the same component. The component remains the same. So if there is any change, so it is a kind of a SPM. So if there is any change in the product, then it is very difficult, you know uh, to accommodate that change. So we'll quickly go through this. So transfer line machining, here the parts are finished in more than one setting. And here instead of tool, so workpiece is moved from one station to another station. So transfer line machine can have 10 workstation or 20 workstation. Whereas in machining center, it has ability to finish parts in single setting. It can complete in one setting only. So tools are changed after every machining operation is complete. Then transfer line machining, it consists of a series of various machining arranged in a particular sequence, like say center drilling, then drilling, pilot drilling, then chamfering, counter zone, then tapping, boring, uh, like that. Whereas here it is consists of only one machining unit, and it can do various machining operations in a single setup. Then transfer line machining can be done on all job phase, including the base. Now sometimes here it has say including the base, but if you want to do machining on base, that is also possible. But then you need to invest a lot on the hardware, because you should have some mechanism wherein you can hold a component. You have to first release the clamping on the base. Okay, and then you have to turn the component upside and down, upside down. Okay, so that is what is called as the turning. This is not turning means it is not the operation which you are doing on the lathe machine. Your turning means you are rotating the components through 180 degree. So first you have to release the clamp on the base, and then you have to rotate that component. It is something like chassis turning, or chassis rotation. Chassis initially you fix up the component like say axle, etc. Front axle, rear axle, gearbox, differential. uh, and then once these components are fitted on the chassis, then chassis is rotated. Okay, so that you can fix up, you can load body and driver cabin and other devices. So same thing. So this becomes slightly expensive. So most of the times this is not included. Yeah, but if you want a single piece pro, then definitely you can think of this. So here machining center में that is not possible. That base machining. But in transfer line machining, yes, it can be. uh, so transfer line error exists, and hence possibility of less accuracy part because of the movement of the components. Whereas in machining, no, because it is done in one setting only, so there is hardly any error, and it is more accurate. So more than one holding fixtures are necessary. So obviously the fixtures which are required are more. Hmm? Whereas here it is only one fixture is required, because it's only we are talking about only one machine. Hmm? Then um, the setup time here in the beginning, that is more. Hmm? So the setup and capital costs are higher, whereas in machining center, the setup time is not that high, and initial cost is also low as compared to your transfer line machine. So since the transfer line consists of many workstations, say 10 workstation, 15 workstations, so the line balancing is required. Line balancing means what? Every workstation will take same amount of time, almost same amount of, like suppose if there are 10 workstation, there are 10 people working on number of workstation. Then if it is 1 minute, every workstation, so you have to see that every workstation takes about 1 minute, or if suppose if it is taking say 5 minutes per workstation, then you have to see that every workstation is near about 5 minutes, not exactly 5 minutes, but maybe 4.9, 5.1. Uh, so that is what the skill of process engineer is. Like suppose on one workstation the time required is 5 minutes, and another workstation the time required is 3 minutes. Then it is not balanced. Why? Because the where the 3 minutes that activity is happening very fast, isn't it? So that fellow will remain idle for 2 minutes, whereas the activity which is taking, or the workstation which is having 5 minutes, that person is already will be always overloaded. He will not get time to take a rest, and all the that will be a bottleneck operation, bottleneck process. All the components will stuck over here. huh? So line balancing means every workstation will have same, nearly same time, 4.9, 5.1, like that. Point one doesn't matter. Hmm. So economically, it is not justified to use for small batch production. So you know that it is used for mass production only. Hmm. Then in transfer line, generally it is milling, drilling, face milling, grinding. The turning is not done. Whereas machining center, even turning operation also can be done. Hmm. So in transfer line machining, various machines are synchronized, uh, in their operation, so that work part after being loaded at first workstation process automatically through various station to its completion. Then here in machining center, the speed feeds changes mostly because it is CNC, isn't it? And mostly it is three-axis machine, so everything is programmed here. Then modification is difficult here, whereas machining center is flexible. Then transfer line does not uh, like machining center have tool changer, whereas in transfer line you don't have tool changer. So that's why machining center, they are equipped with automatic tool changer, as well as they are equipped with automatic um, pallet changer. So ATC and APC. Then you have, same, that is transfer line machining and FMS. So FMS is nothing but your flexible manufacturing system. So as the name indicates, flexible manufacturing system, it includes, uh, it has to have CNC machines, CNC lathe, CNC milling machines, CNC machining center, because it should be flexible. Flexible means it can take any component or changes in the component. Earlier, it was not, manufacturing was not flexible. It was dedicated, or it was, we say, hardwired. Means the changes was difficult. Like suppose if they are taking, say, painting of, say, if red, mm, red colored cars, then that red colored car will go for 1 month. So if you want to change the color, so they will complete all that quota. Mm. But FMS, no. On the same assembly line or painting line, you can have red color ka painting. उसके पीछे you can have silver color painting. उसके पीछे you can have white color painting. So that is what the technology is. Because it is all robotic, painting. So you can have even CNG on. Suppose if you are talking about assembly line of the engine, then you can have at workstation one CNG assembly. उसके पीछे you can have petrol vehicle assembly. उसके पीछे you can have diesel. उसके पीछे you can have a different wheelbase. Wheelbase, it is nothing but the distance between the two wheels. So like that it is flexible. So transfer line machining, you cannot take, the changes, whereas in FMS it is basically meant for, you know taking the changes in the job system. Mm. So automatic loading unloading is the feature of flexible machining center. Mm. Here it is possible, or it may not be possible also in transfer line. Mm. So in case of transfer line machining, only one part can be processed, whereas here many different production quantity is very high in transfer line, where this is meant for one component से लेके 1,000 components or even more also 1 lakh pieces. So it is suitable for small as well as high quantity. So the cost here is less, whereas in transfer line machining cost per part is more, but if the quantity is huge, then cost per product will be less. Like suppose if you are manufacturing say 1 lakh pieces here and 1 lakh 5 lakh pieces here, then this cost will be less. In case of machining center, you need trained operator. Here trained operator is not required because it is fully automatic. Mm. All operations can be done here, including turning. In transfer line, generally turning we don't do. Mm. Then you have automat and turning center. Automat, what we studied, that is a trop. Mm. So in automat, we use cams, stop. It is totally mechanical. Trip dogs, limit switches. Uh, but in case of turning center, it is totally numerical control. So it's basically uh, mm, driven by ball screws and mostly all electronic circuits, servo motors, and a dedicated computer. Then in automat, operator has to inspect. He has to keep on checking every 10 piece or every 15 piece, whereas here it is not required. Once you establish, then it will run for 2 hour, 3 hour, or for 100 components, 200 components, as per the instructions given. Like say, after 200 pieces, you change this insert, or you indexed the insert, or you make the insert up and down, upside down. Huh? So in process gauging systems are used in turning center, where in automat it is not used. I will tell you what is in process gauging. Huh? So in automat it cannot be. Then it is capable of producing round work part with high accuracy. Here the accuracy is generally zero point 0.1 automat, and in turning center the accuracy is zero point 0.02, that is 20 micron. The production rates are very high here, and in automat also production rates are high. Uh, this can be used for forge, cast, complex, whereas automat the it is limited to your round bar, hmm, round bar or square bar. So bar type of work. Again, turning centers, that is CNC machine, you need to have a trained operator, whereas in automat, once the component is set, then your unskilled operator also can be used. Then you have shaving and grinding, both are finishing process. Then you have hobbing and broaching, so both are your gear teeth cutting process. Then you have, I just wanted to uh, take this in process gauging and multiple gauging, because this is important. In process gauging means while your machining is going on, at the same time your inspection is also going on. Your inspection is also going on. Like suppose if you are grinding a shaft, and the grinding is happening say between center, so you can put a dial indicator. You can put a pneumatic dial indicator, so that keeps on monitoring what is the present size. It will show that present size on the display also. So that is what is called as the in process gauging. That is, while the process is going on, you are measuring. Then in multiple gauging, the measurement is done after the part is processed, or after that grinding operation is done, then you do the checking. Hmm. That is the first difference between in process gauging and multiple gauging. So as this is in process gauging is going on, it can take the decision immediately. Like suppose if the component is oversize, because if the tool gets worn out, then component will become, the size will be more. So it can compensate. So it will adjust for the offset. yeah, now the tool is worn out, so you have to go little more. One more depth of cut is required. Okay, so that is what the advantage of in-process gauging is. Now here there is no way to compensate because component is already finished, isn't it? Then in multiple gauging you have to do that compensation manually. Hmm. So in process gauging, so if there are any errors during the setup, so that can be taken care of while the component is being machined, whereas here in multiple gauging, you cannot, that operator error in the setup cannot be reduced. Hmm. So this process gauging systems are used in chucking and turning centers. That is, chucking means chucking lathes, and turning centers mean that is center lathe. That is the turning which is being done in centers. Uh, Then this system allows inspection of parts outside the machine, mm, because it is not being done on the machine. The processing of the part is automatically stopped when the part attains the preset dimension. Like you have set the dimension, now say 20.00, and you have started at say 20.5. Okay, and you have put the dial gauge or a comparator. So moment the size is achieved 20.00, then the machine will be stopped. Hmm. And here there is no such case, because the component is already processed and then it is given for checking. Hmm. So in process gauging may mostly all electronic gauges are used, whereas here multiple gauging may you can use electronic, pneumatic or mechanical gauge. Here some in process gauging also you can use in pneumatic or mechanical gauges, but because of the coolant and because of the chips it gets spoiled. So that's why we avoid. Hmm. So that is very important. Then you have uh, it can be like induction hardening and flame hardening difference may not be asked, but short note can be asked for the induction hardening. Like it is heating of a specimen by means of alternating magnetic field to a specified temperature. Hmm. So that temperature is nothing but the transformation, that is austenitic formation has to happen. huh. So heating is carried by the induction effect, that is electromagnetic induction EMI. And in flame hardening, that is done manually, and you might have seen that the people's using oxyacetylene flame for this. Then depth of the hardness in induction heating can be controlled precisely, uh, because it depends upon the voltage, it depends upon the current, and it depends upon the time. So all these parameters can be set. That is whereas in flame hardening, it is a little difficult. Induction hardening is very clean and it's a quick process. It is fast. Whereas in flame hardening, you can get scales. Then induction hardening, it is expensive. Flame hardening is expensive, but as compared, it is cheaper. As compared to induction hardening, it is cheaper. All right. Then you have to design the coil. That is what is important. Coil which is surrounding the workpiece. Flame hardening may that is not required. The design or manufacturing of the coil. Mm. Then induction hardening, the biggest disadvantage is that if your carbon percentage is less than 0.4%, then you cannot use induction hardening. You have to go for flame hardening or you have to go for carburizing techniques. So stills having zero point 0.3 to 0.6% carbons, they are hardened by flame hardening. Hmm. Components hardened by this method, these are the examples. That is piston rods, pump shafts, crankshafts, automobile parts. Whereas these parts which are big, like pulleys, then worms, bigger gears, shafts, can be done by flame hardening. Hmm. Then design tolerance tag and process tolerance tag. So design tolerance tag means what? That is because of the fault in the product design. And process tolerance tag means you are selecting the wrong process. Then product limit tag or design tolerance tag, it can affect the function of the part. Here it may be it has to be eliminated because even though no tolerance tag condition is happened from, because it can produce again a wrong part because of the wrong process done. Then if you want to avoid, you have to use your baseline techniques, and here it depends upon the skill of the process engineer. You have to select the, and plan the operations carefully. Explicit and implicit, that was asked in unit test number one. mm, Not that difficult. Then standard toolings and special toolings. So standard toolings means which are available in the market, like say 10 drill, 12 drill, 25 reamer. Special tooling means like suppose if you want 10.25 ka drill or 11.2 ka boring bar, then that comes under the category of special tooling. So special toolings, these are the toolings which are built for one product, one for a specific product. Where standard toolings can be used for multiple jobs. Then standard toolings are mass produced. Special toolings, no, it is for one or two, hmm, at the most, like special broach, uh, or say form tool. So that is a special tooling. Then standardization makes this tooling suitable for more companies. Hmm. So it has a wider scope, whereas this has very little scope. Then this tooling is stocked and is available on short notice. You have to just visit the market and get it. huh. Here it is no question of stocking. It is tailor made. What is tailor made? That is special tooling. Special toolings are always tailor made. Then here the quantity required is less. That is special tooling. Whereas here the quantity required is more. Then since these are the standard, there is nothing like design time, and manufacturing time. So design and manufacturing is very fast, whereas in special toolings there is a considerable amount of design time. Then special toolings may you have progressive die or you have form tools or form cutters. Here you have chucks, standard chucks, 4-inch chuck, 6-inch chuck, 8-inch chuck, 3-jaw chuck, 4-jaw chuck, standard drills, single point tools. So that all comes under standard toolings. Nowadays, gear teeth grinding is no more used. So gear teeth shaving is very simple and fast, whereas this is very expensive. Gear teeth grinding. Hmm. Here we use grinding wheels, specially formed grinding wheel. Mm. And this process is costly, whereas gear shaving is more economical. Mm. So this process is becoming now outdated. Grinding, it is being replaced by shaving. It is this process is becoming absolute. It is obsolete. Huh? Of course, you get better accuracy than shaving in case of grinding. Mm. Only disadvantage, biggest disadvantage is that gear teeth shaving has to be, it is a finishing process. It has to be done before heat treatment. Hmm. Whereas gear teeth grinding can be done after heat treatment. So that is the biggest advantage. But now with suitable abrasives, you can do gear teeth lapping after heat treatment. Okay, so that's also that is the end of the syllabus. If you have any doubt or if you want to ask something, you please ask. Assignments also, from 8 assignments, I have reduced it to 6 assignments. Okay, thank you so much.